Hello, friends. Radhe Radhe and Jai Shri Krishna. Welcome back to the Mythic Mind. Today, we are going to talk about something every human being thinks about but doesn't truly understand: death. Some fear it, some avoid thinking about it, and some spend their entire lives wondering what lies beyond. But thousands of years ago, a young boy dared to question what most adults fear asking. A question so profound that even the god of death, that is Yama, hesitated to answer. This is a story of Nachiketa, the boy who questioned death. It is said that long time ago, a sage named Vajasravas organized a grand sacrifice, a sacred ritual in which a person donates their wealth in the spirit of generosity and detachment. People gathered, prayers were offered, and gifts were being distributed. But among those present, one person noticed something was wrong: a young boy named Nachiketa. The sage was expected to give away his wealth selflessly, yet he kept his best possessions for him, and the cows he donated were old, weak, and no longer useful. To everyone else, the ritual appeared sacred, but to Nachiketa, he saw something deeper. He saw a conflict between appearance and truth. He realized that if his father performed the sacrifice without sincerity, it would bring no true spiritual merit. In fact, it would become greed disguised as generosity. So, the young boy asked a question: Father, to whom will you give me? His father ignored him. But Nachiketa asked again: Father, to whom will you give me? The third time: Father, to whom will you give me? Perhaps Nachiketa was not trying to challenge his father. Perhaps he was trying to awaken him, to remind him that true sacrifice requires giving something of value. But anger often speaks before wisdom, and in that frustration, Vajasravaswar shouted to Yam, I give you to Yam, the Lord of Death. Most children would have cried, most would have been afraid, most would have dismissed the words as anger. But Nachiketa was different. If his father had spoken those words, he would honor him. And so, this young child set out alone to the realm of death. When he arrived at Yam's abode, he was not there. So, the boy waited. A day passed, a second day, 3 days, alone, hungry, yet unbeaten. When Yam finally returned, he was astonished. A young boy had waited at his doorstep for 3 nights, and according to the sacred tradition, a guest should never be neglected. So, Yam offered Nachiketa 3 bowls, one bowl for each night he had waited. For the first bowl, Nachiketa thought not of himself, but for his father. Father be free from anger. May He recognize me and may He welcome me with love. And Yam granted it immediately. Even after being sent to the realm of death, Nachiketa's first wish was not for himself. It was for reconciliation, not revenge, not reward, but peace. For the second boon, Nachiketa asked for knowledge, but not any ordinary knowledge. He asked Yama to teach him the sacred fire ritual that leads a person towards heaven, a realm free from hunger, from fear, and from suffering. Yam explained the ritual in detail, the sacred fire, the offerings, the discipline required, and Nachiketa learned it perfectly. So, Yam was pleased. He was so pleased that he declared that this sacred knowledge would forever be remembered as Nachiketa fire. The first boon brought peace, the second brought knowledge. But then came the third boon, the question that has troubled humanity for thousands of years. When a person dies, some say they continue to exist. Others say they do not. Tell me the truth. What happens after death? For the first time, even Yam hesitated. He told Nachiketa that even gods had debated this mystery, that it was difficult to understand, and he urged the boy to ask something else. But Nachiketa remained firm. So, Yam tried another approach. He offered wealth, gold, kingdom, power, a long life, beautiful celestial dances, pleasures beyond imagination, everything a human being could desire. Take these instead, Yam said. But concern yourself with death. Nachiketa refused. All these things are temporary. Wealth fades, pleasure fades. Even the longest life eventually comes to end. Keep your gifts. I seek only the truth, he said. And in that moment, Yam realized that this was no ordinary child. He was a true seeker, one who preferred truth over comfort, wisdom over pleasure, and meaning over desire. Yam smiled, for he knew that Nachiketa was ready. And then Yam revealed one of the greatest teachings of Upanishads. He said that every human being faces two paths, Priya and Shreya. Priya is what feels pleasant, what is easy, what offers immediate satisfaction. Shreya is what is beneficial, what helps us grow, what leads us towards wisdom. Most people choose what is pleasant. Few choose what is meaningful. It is truly said, प्रिय वह जो तुरंत अच्छा लगे, श्रेय वह जो अंततः अच्छा हो. That means prayer is what feels good now. Shreya is what is truly good in the end. So Yam taught him something even deeper, that the self, the true self, is not the body. It is not wealth, nor status, nor is it success. The soul is eternal, unaffected by birth or by death. Death is not an ending, it is a doorway, a transition, a change. And suddenly, the story becomes much more than death. Today, many of us spend our lives chasing exactly what Yam offered: more money, recognition, comfort, success. But rarely do we stop and ask why. We fear death, but perhaps what we should fear more is reaching the end of life without ever understanding why we lived. Because the lesson of Nachiketa is not really about dying, it is about living. Living with purpose, awareness, living in pursuit of truth rather than distraction. जो अच्छा लगता है वह हमेशा सही नहीं होता, और जो सही होता है वह हमेशा आसान नहीं होता. This means what feels good is not always right, and what is right is not always easy. So, I want you to ask yourself, if Yum stood before you today and offered you wealth, success, fame, comfort, and every pleasure that you desire, would you choose it? Or would you seek the truth? And perhaps the greatest question is not what happens after death, but whether we are truly living before it. Stay tuned in for more such journeys into mythology and human emotions at the Mythic Mind, where ancient stories connect to human emotions.